Hello there, good evening everyone, and welcome. Welcome. This evening I wanted to do something a little bit different. We're going to take a deeper dive into my book, my writing, Awakening the Machine, Gurdjieff Today, Lewis Kirk. It's available now. The link's in the description if you're interested. And because it's now available on Amazon, Amazon make available the blurb, the preface, and the introduction. And so I thought it's no good it being on Amazon, has to be here as well at the channel. And so as well as that, I'm going to read several passages I've selected that I think are very interesting and will hopefully pique your interest. And they are, the first passage I will read after the preface and introduction is the neuroscience of the machine, an iceberg model of the brain. Then I'll read a short section about the power of myth and how mythologies have developed and come down to us across time. Then the third reading will be a section on archaeoastronomy. And finally, from a later chapter, chapter 11, the final section is about the new machine age. And so it's lovely for you all to be here. It's great to see you all. And my hope in this video, it's very simple, really, that it invites you to reflect on these words, that, look at your own life. Do these words resonate with you? And of course, if they do, maybe you'll consider picking up a copy in any of the formats. There's the digital ebook, there's the digital audiobook, and there's of course the physical paperback book that's available on Amazon. As I've said, all of the links are in the description, and if you've already read the book, I'd love to hear what resonated most, what sections jumped out and called loudest to you. And if you haven't decided yet or are not quite ready, hopefully this session, this stream, and these readings will resonate with you, as I'm saying. So get comfortable, open your mind, think about how these things reflect in your own life, and let's begin. But before we do, I'll just say hello to everyone in the chat. It's lovely to see you all. If you haven't yet, please do consider just saying a little hello. Very simple, just say hello, and of course I will recognize and welcome you. Sports Time with Ajay says hello and good afternoon from New York. Hope you're doing well and had a great day. Safe travels to Turkey tomorrow. Enjoy the time with the family in Turkey. That's very kind of you, Ajay. Thanks for that, and I certainly plan to relax and have a good time and enjoy, so that's very kind, and thanks, Ajay. Tim Jim says on page 83 already. What a great read, a real credit to you, Lewis. So Tim Jim, thank you for that, my friend. Let me know what your favorite chapter or section is so far, and that's very kind, and thank you. Hello there, Devin or Sean, whichever one you are, welcome. Rafi, Rare Book Songs at One Place, gives a big thumbs up. BB Like is their first live chat. Amazing Sunday for me now. Thank you. No, thank you, BB Like, for being here. And I'm glad that you could finally make your first live. Hello there, Kathy and Graham says hello and welcome, guys. It's lovely to see you all. Lee Thompson says, hi, Lewis. Greetings from Malaga, Spain. Buenos tardes, amigo. And this is my first live, but I love your channel, especially the famous 5 Secret 7, a great blast from the past. So I'm happy that you enjoy those books, Lee. And how's the weather in Spain? How are you doing? And everyone's just saying hello. Emil says, can't wait to hear from the book. So I'm happy to share that with you. And yes, hello there, Devin. Clump says greetings. So greetings to you, Clump. And Rafi, Rare Best Songs, is from India. So tuning in from India, welcome. Tim Jim said, it's all got me gripped so far, starting to make changes by breaking the machine me already. So that's a fine place to start, Tim Jim. and I'm happy to hear the weather is beautiful. So, like I say, I'll begin by reading the preface, then I'll come back and we can discuss. You guys can share your comments on that. Then we'll read the introduction. Again, we'll come back and discuss. And do let me know what resonates with you. And especially if you have a copy and you've been enjoying it, do let me know. And one more thing, I'm asking a lot of you this evening before I've even started. But if you are enjoying the book, I would really be grateful and appreciate an Amazon review. There's no Amazon reviews yet. And so you could be the first one, because I think that's a really good way to help it jump up the charts. But I will stop asking of things from you, and instead I will share with you the preface of my book. Hello there, Voldemar from Planet Poland. It says it's good to see the price, the alive authors, not only the dead ones. So that's a great point, Voldemar. And it's lovely to see you all. So, oh no, excuse me, I've jumped ahead of myself. Before the preface, we have the blurb. So I'm even getting ahead of myself and carried away, but I thought I'd read the blurb just because why not? So the blurb, the back of the book says, most people live on autopilot, trapped in unconscious cycles of thought and behavior. But beneath the surface, there is a way out. Awakening Machine is your guide to breaking free from mechanical life, reclaiming your awareness and finding a way to live consciously. Backed by insights from modern science and the transformative teachings of Gurdjieff, this book reveals the path to conscious living. Most remain asleep. Will you wake up? Take the first step and discover the power of living fully and becoming who you are destined to be, while the rest of society remains unaware of their situation, asleep at the wheel. And then this is rather strange to read it in the third person, but Lewis Kirk is an author and narrator and the founder of the Book Club YouTube channel, where he inspires people to cultivate their love of books and reading. Condensing over 20 years of study and practice into this volume, he hopes that it will help you to see a path to a life lived consciously and to the full. And so that's the blurb. And hello there, Rich. No problem about being late, my friend. We're just starting. And hello there, Caroline Songbird. It's always lovely to see you. So welcome, everyone. And as it says there in the blurb, and as you'll hear in the preface, I just have received so much value and benefit in my life from the teachings of Gurdjieff and Ouspensky and all of the related authors. That's why the channel started. That's why I'm so interested in reading all of the Gurdjieff material here together. There is something very important about sharing these stories in a shared space on the live reads. And so, like I say, I really couldn't be happier with how Book Club's going, and now I'm able to share my own writing with you. So let's read the preface. Preface. The first time I heard the names Gurdjieff and Ouspensky, something within me shifted and a spark was lit that has never faded. Reading Ouspensky's In Search of the Miraculous and later The Fourth Way awakened in me a profound desire to understand this system of ideas. It was as though a door had opened to a world of possibility, a world that demanded exploration. Since that moment, my pursuit of understanding has been relentless, driven by a sense that these teachings offer something vital, not only for myself, but for anyone searching for something deeper and more meaningful in their life. This book is a product of years of study, reflection, and practice, a response to the profound impact these teachings have had on my life. It is also a testament to my gratitude for Gurdjieff and Ouspensky, whose work and legacies continue to illuminate the path for so many seekers. More than anything, this book is born of an enduring desire to share these ideas with those who may be receptive, just as I was when I first discovered them during a retreat in the Scottish Highlands. That initial encounter planted a seed, and the desire to nurture and share what has grown from it has never subsided. In the early years of my journey, this desire to share often took the form of overzealous enthusiasm. I approached the ideas with a dogmatic fervour, quick to declare that others were asleep and living unconscious lives long before I had truly understood what these concepts meant. Unsurprisingly, this approach often alienated people, leading to glazed-over eyes, awkward silences, and strained relationships. Over time, I came to see that the journey of awakening is not one that can be imposed on others. It must be a personal and voluntary effort, sparked by genuine curiosity and the readiness to explore. Our journey should involve genuinely engaging with the system Gurdjieff outlined, treating it with respect, while actively testing and refining its practical application. This approach navigates a middle path, neither blindly rebelling nor rigidly conforming, avoiding on the one hand smart but empty critiques, and on the other dogmatic veneration of the ideas. This realization shifted my focus inward. For years I immersed myself in solitary study, reading late into the night, attending group meetings, and delving into texts about Gurdjieff's life, teaching, and the system of ideas he left behind. Yet the desire to share remained. When I began speaking about these ideas on my YouTube channel, I discovered a new way to connect, a way to engage with like-minded seekers who are open to exploring these concepts at their own pace. This book is a continuation of that effort, an invitation to join this exploration in a deeper and more structured way. It is important to clarify at the outset what this book is and what it is not. It does not claim to be an authoritative or exhaustive account of Gurdjieff's teachings. Instead, think of it as a guide or perhaps a fragment of a map pointing toward the vast and intricate landscape of ideas that await those who are willing to explore. The true treasure lies not in these pages, but in what in you, the reader, choose to uncover for yourself. For those who embark on this journey, the rewards are immeasurable and have the capacity to change the course of our lives. Whether you are well versed in Gurdjieff's system or encountering his ideas for the first time, I invite you to approach this book with curiosity and an open mind. This is not just a presentation of concepts, but an opportunity to engage with ideas that have the potential to transform your understanding of yourself and the world. Consider it an adventure, a journey into new ways of thinking, seeing, and being. Where it leads will depend entirely on your willingness to explore, question, and apply what you discover. Gurdjieff often reminds us of the vast, untapped potential within us, a potential far beyond what we typically imagine. Quote, "Man's possibilities are very great. You cannot conceive even a shadow of what man is capable of attaining." End quote. The journey of awakening is deeply personal, but it is also one that connects us to something greater, something higher and more sacred. My hope is that this book serves as a companion on your path, offering insights and inspiration as you navigate the complexities of life and the mysteries of existence. Let this be the beginning of something meaningful, an exploration of ideas that challenge, inspire, and ultimately awaken. And so there's the preface, a rather personal sort of account of my early life when I've always been as enthusiastic, as zealous. And you could argue that back in the day when I first encountered the ideas, if I had a soapbox, I would have put it down and I would have stood on it and I would have begun preaching. But as I said there, strained relationships and glazed over eyes meant that I took a big step back and instead became a sort of hermit, just studying, attending the group meetings with people who are like-minded. Again, it's only when I began sharing these ideas here at Book Club that I really, began to form some firm friendships, and the clubber community, it grew and grew. And like I say, now I couldn't be happier. Now, if someone picks up a copy of the book and references a particular chapter, a particular section, even someone at my workplace shared even just about the way it's formatted. He was like, "Oh yes, really formatted very nicely, pleasing to the eye, easy to navigate for someone who doesn't read a lot." And I thought, well, that's an interesting comment, talking about the formatting of the book. And nothing pleases me more than when someone has read the book, engages in a conversation with me, and then we can begin discussing and going deeper into these ideas. Nothing makes me happier. Just as sharing this here today, nothing could make me happier. And so Voldemar asked, did you self-publish in a specific company? I've self-published it through Kindle Direct Publishing, Voldemar, on Amazon. You can, it's very straightforward. I'm sure there are many YouTube tutorials. And so, yes, I have self-published it. I've got it, many copies, and you can get it through Amazon. Amazon.pl, I think, would be for you, wouldn't it, Voldemar? Amazon Poland, and it's an amazing service. So when you come to publish your own book, Voldemar, be sure to do that. And hello there, Jean. Jean Harris says, hi, Lewis and all. Hope you're all well. I do too. Voldemar says, hi, Graham, the wise man. So indeed, our wise Graham, welcome. BB Like is ordering today, so fantastic. I'm happy to hear that, BB Like, and be sure to reach out and begin a correspondence if you'd like, and I really appreciate that. Rafi are the best songs. Says, sometimes I feel the people around me are just reacting machines, self-unaware, on autopilot mode, and yes, sadly, I believe that is the case, Rafi, and so we need to sort of educate ourselves, develop our being, so that we can, navigate that. And I hope that this book goes towards that. Rich says, so far, so good. Thanks, Rich. It's kind of you. Voldemar says, I've been in the Scottish, but found only drunk Scots in Aberdeen. So no, I went a bit higher than that to Golspie and Inverness. And like I say, I took In Search of the Miraculous with me. So I had a very interesting time with lots of deep experiences. And now let's move on to the introduction. Introduction, the call to wake up. In the quiet moments of our lives, those rare pauses between the noise of obligations and distractions, many of us feel it, the faint call of a deeper question. Is this all there is? Is there not more to life? Beneath the endless cycle of work, consumption and routine lies a persistent sense that something fundamental is missing, something that our forebears knew, something that has been lost over time as we marched into modernity. We may not have the words to express it clearly, but the feeling is unmistakable. We are asleep, automatons reacting constantly to external stimuli, as you've observed, Rafi. This book begins with a radical premise. Most of humanity lives in a state of waking sleep, hypnotized and in the matrix. We move, act and think, but without true awareness. Our lives are dominated by mechanical habits, shaped by forces we barely perceive, and bound by assumptions we rarely question. In this state, we are not free. We are machines. This is not a new idea. Over a century ago, the mystic and teacher George Ivanovich Gurdjieff made this claim with startling insight and clarity. Humanity is asleep, and until we wake up, we are incapable of living fully. Yet Gurdjieff's message was not one of despair, but of hope. He believed that it is possible to awaken, to transcend our mechanical nature, and to reconnect with something vast, real and sacred. His teaching, known as the Fourth Way, or simply the Work, offers a path for doing just that. An important text that we will quote at length in our journey towards awakening is Ouspensky's In Search of the Miraculous. Surprise, surprise, anyone who's been at the channel. Ouspensky's In Search of the Miraculous. Being of an intellectual type, this perspective comes through in many of his questions to Gurdjieff. He once asked about psychology, to which Gurdjieff replied, quote, before speaking of psychology, we must be clear to whom it refers and to whom it does not refer, he said. Psychology refers to people, to men, to human beings. What psychology, he emphasized the word, can there be in relation to machines? Mechanics, not psychology, is necessary for the study of machines. That is why we begin with mechanics. It is a very long way yet to psychology, end quote. Ouspensky then goes on to ask the fundamental question that this book focuses on, quote, "Can one stop being a machine?" End quote. This book is not merely an exploration of Gurdjieff's ideas. It is something more. It is an invitation to consider how this system of awakening intersects with two profound areas of human understanding: the cutting-edge discoveries of modern science and the ancient wisdom embedded in our prehistoric past. When viewed through these lenses, Gurdjieff's teachings take on a new depth and urgency. They reveal a bridge between the distant past, the technological present, and a possible future in which contemporary human beings reclaim their birthright, the capacity to live fully. The thesis of this book. If we are to understand Gurdjieff's system, we have to grapple with two great mysteries: the mystery of our own nature and the mystery of the universe itself. His teachings do not separate the two. They insist that by knowing ourselves, we can come to know the laws that govern all things. In his view, human beings are microcosms of the cosmos, bound by the same universal principles. Quote, "It is impossible to study a system of the universe without studying man. At the same time, it is impossible to study man without studying the universe." End quote. At the heart of his system are profound questions. Why do we live as machines, and how did this condition arise? What does it mean to awaken, and what forces keep us asleep? How can we navigate the modern world where technology threatens to deepen our sleep, even as it claims to liberate us? In exploring these questions, this book will also ask, what can modern neuroscience teach us about the mechanical man that Gurdjieff described? How do ancient archaeological discoveries such as Göbekli Tepe and other ancient sites reveal a spiritual sophistication that aligns with his teachings? Can the laws of physics, biology, and complexity theory shed light on Gurdjieff's esoteric principles? This is not a work of pure philosophy, metaphysics, or history. It is a practical guidebook to understanding how Gurdjieff's system can illuminate the path towards conscious living in an age that desperately needs it. Why now? We live in a moment of deep disconnection. Despite significant technological progress, we are more fragmented within ourselves, from one another, and from the natural world than ever before. We have more social media contacts, but less real-world connections, more Facebook friends, without ever seeing those faces offline in the physical world. Gurdjieff foresaw this. He taught that the further humanity drifts from conscious awareness, the more it succumbs to the forces of automatism or automation and inertia. There is no stasis. We are either evolving or devolving. In a world dominated by algorithms, artificial intelligence, and ceaseless distractions, Gurdjieff's warnings feel prophetic today. Yet, this is also a moment of opportunity. Modern science is beginning to validate spiritual insights that mystics like Gurdjieff have long proclaimed, that our thoughts, emotions, and actions are deeply interconnected and influence our inner and outer world, that our habitual patterns can be reprogrammed, and that states of higher awareness are not mystical fantasies, but profound human potential. At the same time, archaeological discoveries and the work of researchers outside of the mainstream orthodoxy are challenging our assumptions about prehistory, revealing civilization may reach further back than we first believed and have understood the sacred and the cosmic far more than we do today. In this convergence of ancient wisdom and modern discovery lies a chance to discover who we are and what we are capable of becoming. What this book offers. This book is a map for the journey of awakening. It is not an easy journey, nor is it a quick one, but for those willing to take the first steps, it offers the possibility of transformation. As you read on, you'll find out how Gurdjieff's teachings illuminate the human condition and provide a practical framework for inner work. Discover connections between his ideas and cutting-edge discoveries in neuroscience, physics, and evolutionary biology. Explore humanity's prehistoric roots, uncovering evidence of ancient wisdom that resonates with his teachings, and gain practical tools and exercises for beginning your own journey towards greater awareness and freedom. But more than anything, this book offers you a choice. You can continue as you are, following the currents of mechanical life, or you can begin to awaken. an invitation. This is not a book to read like a magazine or newspaper and set aside to gather digital dust. It is a book to wrestle with, to question, and to test against your own lived experience. Its goal is not to convince you of anything, but to open a door that only you can choose to step through. As Gurdjieff often alluded to, the way is not far from us, but we must make the effort to find it. This book is a guide to assist in that effort. It is for the truth seekers, the questioners, and those who refuse to settle for a life of unconscious mechanicalness. The machine is strong and well programmed, but the human spirit is stronger. The choice to awaken is yours. Will you take the first step? Well, will you? And so that's the introduction and preface that set up the rest of the book. Of course, is a very clear distinction that Gurdjieff makes, and I too adopt in this book: the unconscious mechanicalness and the conscious awakening. As I read in that introduction, there is no stasis. There is no stasis. You're either evolving or devolving. Nothing stays stationary. Nothing stays the same. And they were the preface and introduction. Now I have a few, as I said, a few passages that I'd like to share that I think go to show that some of the depth of insight in the book that I share. The first is from the first chapter, then from the second chapter, then the 8th chapter, and finally the 11th chapter towards the end. But Voldemar has a comment here. Death of others shake us up enough to look at life from the perspective. It's up to us to carry this shock. Val Kilmer is dead. It's sad. Actors I used to like so much. Willow was spiritual, and Voldemar, Willow Offgood was one of my favorite movies when we were younger. Of course, Val Kilmer, Mad Mardigan. There was sorcery, magic, and adventure, and I too enjoyed that that film, Voldemar. And the interesting thing is that death, in Carlos Castaneda's Journey to Ixtlan, there's a chapter using death as an advisor. In Buddhism, there is a strong emphasis on, visualizing your death. There is a very intense practice. I won't digress and go into it, but is very intense and sort of goes through the whole death process. Of course, there is the Tibetan Book of the Dead also. And yes, when it comes very close, of course, it can be the time when we feel most alive. And so, of course, it can be quite morbid to think about death a lot, but I think it's very important not to ignore it. Because, as you say, it's one inevitability that we all share in this life, that it will end. And as Gurdjieff says rather harshly, you could argue, will you die like a dog or like a man without quotation marks? And again, that's is very intense, very direct, but if you've been with us for all of our Gurdjieff readings, you'll know that Mr. Gurdjieff didn't pull any punches, and he was direct, and so it's not for the faint of heart. Rich says an emphatic yes with an exclamation, and I believe that was to my question, are you ready to wake up? And so, Rich, that's wonderful to hear. Devin, I'm not sure about your mouth, my friend, but I hope so. And yes, you can only do what you can to make it better. And so now I will read some passages. I'll come back again after them all and give a little commentary and see if anyone has anything to add or to say about it. But the first one is from chapter 1, The Man-Machine, and it's under the subheading, The Neuroscience of the Machine. So I'll just read these short sections just to give you a taste of what's within the pages of the book. So, the neuroscience of the machine. While Gurdjieff's teachings predate modern neuroscience, contemporary science offers striking parallels to his concept of the man-machine. Researchers have uncovered that much of our behavior is governed by unconscious processes. In fact, studies suggest that up to 95% of our daily actions are automatic, driven by habitual patterns ingrained in the brain. An iceberg model of the mind provides a visual representation of this phenomenon. Just as only a small portion of an iceberg is visible above water, our conscious thoughts make up only a fraction of our total mental activity. Beneath the surface lies the vast, submerged structure of unconscious processes: identification, repressed emotions, past experiences, assumptions, trauma, and deeply ingrained beliefs. These hidden influences shape our perceptions, decisions, and reactions without our direct awareness, reinforcing the mechanical nature of human behavior that Gurdjieff worked tirelessly to help us overcome. And so there is that image and diagram. Thanks to Kathy, we have this diagram. And there, again, it's easier to represent it visually. The conscious mind is the bit of the iceberg above the water, and our unconscious processes made up of identification, repressed emotions, past experiences, assumptions, trauma, and belief. And if you have been with us for any of our Gurdjieff readings and live material, you will know that the first exhortation that Gurdjieff gives to anyone is self-observation. And through self-observation, we can begin to observe some of these things. We can begin to observe some of these things within us, some of these repressed emotions, some of these assumptions, traumas, and beliefs. And we can, at the very beginning, just observe them, watch them, how they impact our lives, how they affect our everyday activities and our relationships. And you can begin to observe them and observe them and observe them until you're completely certain that these unconscious processes exist in the unconscious. And by shining light on something, I think it's a Hermetic principle, if I remember rightly, once you shine a light on something, it cannot cease to be the same thing. It changes when the light comes on it, and this is what happens with self-observation. And of course, a long way down the line, you can begin to maybe actively work against it when you can possibly do, but that's for later on. The first thing is to observe and verify that this is in fact the case, and I am being impacted. My life is impacted by these unconscious processes, and I don't like it. I want to make a change. I want to live consciously. I want to be conscious of my choices, of the decisions I make, and how I live my life. And of course, that's the whole premise behind the book. Flowetry says, I have been really trying to comprehend this stuff. I think it's so important. And Flowetry, I would argue it's the most important stuff and well worth the effort to understand. Just a little digression. When I was in the Scottish Highlands reading In Search of the Miraculous for the first time, I understood absolutely nothing, or at least very little, 1%. But there was something in me, as I said, that was awoke, was sparked, and I sort of knew that there was something in these. There was some truth in there that I was unable to glean. And so I continued and continued, and I am beginning slowly to understand things. And by writing the book, it helped me to understand things more deeply. And so the next section I will read is The Power of Myth and Echoes of a Great Flood. And this comes from chapter 2, A Forgotten Heritage. And as I was saying, the book speaks a lot about Gurdjieff's own teachings, but also those teachings through the lens of modern science and also prehistory and ancient civilizations. And so this section is about the power of myth. So, the power of myth. Gurdjieff often pointed to myths as carriers of ancient truths. Myths, he believed, were not mere stories, but symbolic systems that encoded profound knowledge about the human condition and the cosmos. He taught that to understand a myth was to unlock a piece of forgotten wisdom. Creation myths and cosmic laws. Many ancient myths describe the universe as emerging from chaos into order, a narrative that mirrors Gurdjieff's teachings of the law of three and the law of seven. These universal laws, he said, govern all processes in the cosmos, from the formation of galaxies to the evolution of human consciousness. For example, the ancient Egyptian myth of Osiris, Isis, and Horus can be seen as symbolic depiction of the law of three, representing creation, destruction, and renewal. Similarly, the cyclical patterns described in Hindu cosmology resonate with the law of seven, which outlines the predictable stages of any process. Echoes of the Great Flood. Across the world, ancient civilizations have preserved surprisingly similar flood myths, stories of a great deluge that wiped out humanity, leaving only a handful of survivors to repopulate the earth. These tales, found in nearly every culture, may not be mere allegories, but collective memories of an actual global catastrophe. The oldest recorded flood story comes from Mesopotamia, where Utnapishtim, warned by the gods, built a boat to preserve life from an all-consuming storm. His story closely parallels Noah's Ark in the Bible and also flood myths in Hinduism, where Manu is saved by Vishnu, as well as Greek mythology, where Deucalion survives Zeus's wrath. Hancock, in his 1995 work, argues that these myths do not arise in isolation. The remarkable structural similarities between them suggest that they encode real events, memories of an ancient cataclysm that reshaped human civilization. From China's ancient flood records to Aboriginal Australian legends of a cosmic serpent and Polynesian myths of gods reshaping the world with water, the same themes emerge across continents. Even in ancient Egypt, accounts of a deluge tied to divine punishment appear in funerary texts. The persistence of these stories across time and geography raises a haunting question. Are they simply myths or warnings from a forgotten past? The idea of a lost advanced civilization, one that perished in a flood leaving behind only fragments of knowledge, might explain why these stories persist across cultures separated by thousands of miles and millennia of time. And again, reading Gurdjieff and Ouspensky early in my education and my discovering esoteric texts and esoteric ideas, I read Beelzebub's Tales, where Gurdjieff speaks about the first cataclysm, where Atlantis is consumed by the earth. And Gurdjieff speaks about this regularly, at regular intervals throughout Beelzebub's Tales to his grandson. And then later on, when I would read Graham Hancock's work, in a sense it resonated, it verified and backed up what Gurdjieff was saying about these ancient myths. And I think it's the Transapalnean perturbation, I believe he refers to it, if you want to get technical. If I remember rightly, Graham, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's what he calls it, where Atlantis is subsumed into the earth, and it causes the beings breeding there to move and to go to Mesopotamia, or Babylon, Mesopotamia, then finally to Egypt, and then they come down to the Greeks and Romans. There's a very interesting section in Beelzebub's Tales where I believe the Greeks were fishermen and the Romans were shepherds, or vice versa, and that's how they come to be. So again, very interested in all of this stuff, and it's becoming more and more in the cultural zeitgeist now with these all these new discoveries about the pyramids, Göbekli Tepe. People have all sorts of theories about Atlantis, where it was, and all of these things. It's very difficult to verify them, but it certainly sort of gets the curiosity going. And Graham comments, it gives us the tools to understand. And I believe Graham's talking about, I don't know what he's talking about, but I'll try and get inside his brain. The books, the concepts, the ideas give us the tools to understand. Tell me if I've misunderstood you, Graham. And yes, the transapalnean perturbation. But understanding comes from hard work. That's what Gurdjieff would say. You don't get understanding of these deep concepts just because you want it, just because it's a desire. I want to know what that means. I want to understand it. You have to work. Gurdjieff said that he buried these things so deeply that the dogs will have to scratch for it. And he's talking about his grandchildren, everyone alive today, or everyone that's lived since Gurdjieff's death, since 1949. It's important to work, to make effort. And that was a big part of his teaching. And Graham has verified, yes, the Gurdjieff books and ideas give us the tools for understanding. So this next section, I thought I'd read from different parts of the book. This section is from chapter 8, The Sacred in Prehistory, and it's about archaeoastronomy, a very interesting field of study. Maybe give it a Google or talk to the AI about this, because it's super interesting. And this section is archaeoastronomy aligning with the cosmos. Archaeoastronomy is the study of how ancient civilizations understood, observed, and integrated astronomical phenomena into their cultures, beliefs, and structures. It is a field that explores the alignment of ancient monuments, temples, and other sites with celestial events, such as solstices, equinoxes, and star risings. These monuments, often built with remarkable precision, demonstrate a deep connection between human life and the stars. These alignments were not accidental, but reflected a deep understanding of celestial cycles, often tied to religious rituals, agricultural calendars, and societal organization. Beyond timekeeping, the cosmos played a vital role in mythology and spiritual traditions. Civilizations like the Maya tracked Venus and the solar calendar to guide ceremonies, while the pyramids of Giza align with Orion's belt, symbolizing the connection between the heavens, the divine, and life on earth. Archaeoastronomy blends archaeology, astronomy, and anthropology to uncover how ancient people lived in harmony with the sky, using the stars not just for navigation, but as a bridge between the earthly and the sacred. Göbekli Tepe, the oldest temple. Dating back nearly 12,000 years, Göbekli Tepe is considered the world's oldest known temple complex. Its massive stone pillars are arranged in circular enclosures, some of which are thought to align with the position of stars and constellations. This suggests that the site was used for rituals that connected its builders to celestial forces. Stonehenge, a solar calendar. Stonehenge, constructed around 5,000 years ago, is famously aligned with the solstices. On the summer solstice, the rising sun aligns perfectly with the central axis of the monument, creating a dramatic display of light and shadow. This alignment suggests that Stonehenge functioned as both a calendar and a sacred space, marking the cycles of the sun and the changing seasons. The pyramids, mirrors of the sky. The Great Pyramids of Giza are aligned with astonishing precision to the cardinal points of the compass, and some researchers believe they were also designed to reflect the stars of Orion's belt. This alignment underscores the belief that human structures should reflect the harmony of the cosmos, linking earthly existence to the divine. We've already discussed the profound concept of the Great Pyramid was built to reflect a scaled-down version of the northern hemisphere of the planet, and again that was in an earlier section of the book. What else could we uncover buried in these mystical and mysterious structures left for us by a distant past? For Gurdjieff, these monuments were not merely functional, they were expressions of humanity's alignment with universal laws. He believed that ancient societies possessed an esoteric understanding of the cosmos, and their sacred architecture was designed to harmonize with these laws. By studying and recreating these alignments, humans could attune themselves to higher energies and transcend their mechanical nature. And just a few comments about this. If you've ever seen Stonehenge, the temple at Karnak, many of these megalithic structures on the summer solstice, it's an amazing sight. That's why people all go down to Stonehenge on the summer solstice, I believe it is, or the spring equinox, all of these cardinal points in astronomy, because there's something amazing when you stand in what appears to be just giant rocks everywhere, but then the sun rises, and the sun rises perfectly within whatever structure it is, where it is, where you're standing. You see it rise up, and it's profound, and it shows that the individuals, the cultures, the peoples that built these megalithic structures knew something that we've lost today. And Gurdjieff felt that. I too, through my studies, believed the same thing, and it's reflected. Graham Hancock has a show on Netflix, Ancient Apocalypse, I believe the first season's called. I haven't watched the second season, so I don't know what it's called, but he emphasizes in his books and in this series that the older the structures are, the more precise and intricate they were built. So some of the pyramids in South America, Machu Picchu, and the other ones, in a sense, what you look at is a later structure, and then inside, like nested Russian dolls, inside there's something more intricate. Deeper still, there is something even more intricate, and the oldest structure at the center is the most intricate and the most fascinating. So we can learn about this. Obviously, there's a lot we can learn. And hello, Melissa's Mind. Hello to you, who's been listening to Graham Hancock today on Lex Fridman. So quite the synchronicity there. Yeah, thanks, Ajay. Appreciate that. And Melissa goes on to say, and thought how little I know. Exciting. Well, I'd highly recommend Hancock's two books, Fingerprints of the Gods and Magicians of the Gods. They're sort of a duo, and they're pretty intense. A lot of footnotes, a lot of references. And if you want something a bit lighter, maybe go onto Netflix and watch his two wonderful series. But it's fascinating. And again, Gurdjieff talks about this in his Beelzebub's Tales, which I don't quote too much in the text. There are a few quotes from Beelzebub, but yeah, Beelzebub is a different proposition entirely. And the final section is from the final third of the book, from the New Machine Age, and this will be the last of the readings. I hope this has showed you sort of what some of the writing's like, some of the ideas. In one of the previous videos where I spoke about the paperback being available, I share the table of contents. You can go and look at that after this if you'd like, and look at the table of contents, read through. There's the subheadings also laid out. And again, it's my hope that you're interested enough to click the button. Lee Thompson says, the pyramids are amazing. I've been inside the Great Pyramid of Giza, and there was definitely something amazing about how it was built so perfectly. I too, Lee, have been inside the Great Pyramid and stood before the Great Sphinx. And again, there is arguments that it faced the Leo rising, which would have meant it's built much earlier. But not just the intricacy of how perfectly they were built, Lee, but also the the stature, the size of it, it's absolutely massive. If you've obviously everyone's seen a picture, they can visualize the Giza plateau with the Great Pyramid and the two other pyramids. But to stand before it, it's sort of something very different. But this will be the last section that we read. If you have any questions, any comments, do get them in the chat before we say goodnight. And this is the final section we will read. And you're very welcome, Google. It's my absolute pleasure and lovely to see you. And Lee Thompson says they're now saying there's a whole place underneath it. Yes, I alluded to that early, that these structures, these sort of columns that go underneath the pyramids. And so that's a whole other can of worms that we will not get into. But this is more, this section is talking more about, like I say, the new machine age. We're living in a culture with algorithms, with technology, with devices. And so I also weave in much of that into the book. And this is from, again, the start of chapter 11, The New Machine Age. We live in a time unlike any other, a world dominated by technology, artificial intelligence, and relentless connectivity. Machines, once tools to serve humanity, now shape the way we think, feel, and interact. Algorithms predict our desires, social media molds our opinions, and automation increasingly replaces human effort. This is the new machine age and is a time of unparalleled convenience, but also profound challenges to our consciousness and humanity. Gurdjieff's warnings about humanity's mechanical nature are strikingly relevant today, more than ever before. He taught that most people live as machines, governed by habits, emotions, and external influences. In the new machine age, these tendencies are not just reinforced, they are exploited. Yet, just as Gurdjieff's teachings offer a path out of inner sleep, they also provide tools for navigating this technological landscape with awareness and intention. The rise of the machines, automation, and the loss of agency. From the Industrial Revolution to the digital age, technology evolved to make life easier, faster, and more efficient. Automation, once limited to factories, now permeates every aspect of life, from self-driving cars to virtual assistants. While these advancements free us from repetitive tasks, they also create new forms of dependency and reduce opportunities for active, conscious engagement. Social media and algorithmic control. Social media platforms designed to connect us often achieve the opposite. Algorithms prioritize content that exploits us, grabs attention, and sparks outrage or reinforces existing beliefs. William Randolph Hearst popularized the phrase, "If it bleeds, it leads," in the 1890s. Hearst was an American newspaper publisher who observed that audiences were drawn to horrific incidents. As a result of all this, our choices, what we read, watch, or believe, are subtly influenced by unseen forces in the form of algorithms which even those who created them struggle to fully understand. This phenomenon mirrors Gurdjieff's idea of mechanical humanity. Instead of acting from awareness, we react to external stimuli, becoming pawns in a game we barely understand. The algorithms become the masters, steering our thoughts and actions while we drift further into a state of waking sleep. Gurdjieff said, "One or another mode of perception is immediately connected with one or another kind of reaction to external events. The result of this difference in perception and reaction to external events is expressed in the first place by the fact that people do not understand one another, and in the second by the fact that they do not understand themselves." And finally, the AI revolution. Artificial intelligence, with its promise of superhuman efficiency, poses even deeper challenges. AI can now write, create, and even simulate human interaction. While this offers extraordinary potential, it also raises questions about authenticity, creativity, and human purpose. As AI becomes more capable, humans risk losing not just jobs, but the sense of being indispensable to the world. Yuval Noah Harari speaks of a useless class of people who lack purpose and meaning. As AI continues to replace the things that before now only humans could do, We must keep this in mind as it increases in power and impact in our daily lives. And that is the end of the selected readings, the preface and introduction. And to be honest, I have quite a lot to say and a lot of thoughts about the new machine age. As I put it in there, I can't put everything in there because the book would extend to more pages than I'd like it to be. But I'll share some of those now before I say hello to everyone. Rich says Edgar Cayce says there's a spaceship under the Sphinx, and so these things are difficult to verify unless the Egyptian government are going to let you go and dig up under the Sphinx and have a look, peek under there for the spaceship. A lot of this is speculation, and Gurdjieff says we need to verify these things, and it's very difficult to verify, things in the distant past, things in these megalithic structures. Unless you're allowed full access, you can't really verify it. Hello there, Prophetic Soaking with Sarah says you're reading it live. Good morning. Only some selected passages, Sarah. We read the preface, the introduction, and I chose 4 passages to share with you all. So not the whole book, Sarah, just a little teaser. Hello there, Cindy Scott says hello, Lewis and Clubbers. And Prophetic Sarah goes on to say, doing a bit with AI, find it useful to create images, set lyrics to music, help write a range of documents, but it needs a lot of support. Laugh out loud. So yes, I agree. And of course, anytime anyone does anything with AI, they should of course review and edit before you start sending it out to people, because what do they call it? It hallucinates often and speaks or shares information with sort of confidence and authority, and you're like, whoa, what's this? So where are we? Lee Thompson says, completely agree, Lewis. Very interesting. Thanks. You're most welcome, my friend. It was great. I enjoyed sharing this with you. Ajay, appreciate that, my friend. And I do plan to, so thank you so much. Prophetic Circle with Sarah says, have to go run a meeting. Stoked to have caught you live as usual. So have a great day, Sarah, whatever your meeting is. It's fantastic. Floetry says, I bought the book Pure Human that Greg Braden wrote about giving up our humanity to tech. My goodness. I'm going to note that down, actually, Floetry, because I'm very interested in these things, as I've said. And I'd definitely love to read that one. Sounds very interesting. So Sarah says, excellent. Well, we'll check out the replay. Yet to buy our copy. Might buy the hard copy to share. So, it's available in paperback, as I've said. A lot of people wanted the physical, touch and hold and feel. It's something real. But also there is an ebook and an audio book with, of course, myself reading. And I actually sing in the audio, but no one's commented that yet. No one's found that Easter egg. But I'm not going to sing now. Yes, indeed, Devin. God bless us all. Take care, my friend, and have a great week, whatever you're up to. Tim Jin says, thank you so much, Lewis. Our morning chats are now going to be a lot longer. They certainly are, Tim Jim, and we might have to take it onto the phone, so I don't get in trouble by Royal Mail. But lovely to see you, my friend. And Cindy Scott says, love the book, Lewis. I'm stuck on always have been challenged with the Enneagram. Yes, indeed, it's a very interesting symbol, but Gurdjieff says that if you understand the Enneagram and can read it, you can understand anything in the universe. So well worth learning about it. But just quickly, I'll say a few words about that passage, the new machine age and the revolution. I reference a documentary in the book, The Social Dilemma, where they talk about how these algorithms, the algorithms, they prioritize time on site. That's what they want. YouTube does it. Of course, if you're here scrolling and watching content at book club, you're being educated. But YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok's probably the best at doing it because they're unfettered with their algorithm. They just want you to click on and stay on all day, ideally, never to leave. And so if you have these billion-dollar corporations trying to hack your attention and you're unaware of it, who's going to win? Who's going to win? Little old me or Google or TikTok or Meta? What's best is never to click on them. But of course, then you'll never be able to engage here at book club. So it's a difficult one. But consciously, I'm sure we've all had experiences. I'm not immune. The scroll of doom scrolling. I'll just go on and check my notifications. 3 hours later, you're still doom scrolling and thinking, what the hell am I doing? But again, conscious interaction with these things is very important. And there are practices and sections in the book on that. And yeah, finally, this AI. There's some great films that you might want to go and check out, and let me know if you're interested in these things. You're very welcome, Devin. It's great to have you, my friend, and go and be sure to catch up on all of the books that we've read here at Book Club. There are several films that I'll share with you if you're interested in AI and technological advancement and robots taking over. Let me know if you've seen any of them. The first one, I'll go in the old order. Obviously, actually, I'll throw in Terminator 2. I watched Terminator 2 recently, and it still holds up. I think it was early 1980s, Terminator 2, Skynet. The machines come online, very powerful and still valid today. The Matrix, where the machines take over, sublimate humanity to live off their power, still resonates very much today. If you've ever looked into simulation theory, of course, the Matrix draws on that. Another good one is Her, very simple film with Joaquin Phoenix, where he falls in love with his Siri ultimately. We can all talk to we can talk to our phones now, but in Her with Joaquin Phoenix, he falls in love with it, and it's pretty deep. And the final one is Ex Machina. Ex Machina, where the creator brings one of his computer science workers to take the Turing test with the Ex Machina, with the robot. And the Turing test is normally you're behind a screen and you have to gauge whether it's a human or a machine. Whereas in this film, he says you can see it's a machine, but let's go through it, see if it's alive or not. And all of those are fascinating and thought-provoking. And I say to my family, my wife and children, that soon we will be seeing these humanoid robots in the wild. You will see one walking around, whether it's doing deliveries, helping an old lady with her shopping, walking a dog. Who knows what they're going to be purposed for, but we will begin to see them in the wild very soon. And what does that mean when they're everywhere? But that's a ways off yet, we hope. But anyway, Tim Jim says Terminator and The Matrix were documentaries according to the writer, and I think that's about right. Especially The Matrix, I would say. And if you've ever read anything about simulation theory, there's a strong argument that we're already in it. But again, I won't digress into that. Yes, Melissa's Mind, I definitely would say go check that out. Check out those films, they're amazing. Google says, picking myself up a copy of Awakening the Machine ASAP, coming this week. That makes me smile. Google, and I look forward to discussing that. Devin, not for a little while, my friend, because as I said, I'm off. I'm off to Turkey. I posted a video earlier today, Devin, so go and check that out on the videos tab, and that will share what's coming up in the next few days while I'm away. So go check that out. Higher Influences, congrats on your book. That's very kind, and thank you very much. Yeah, still really doesn't seem real, but it is, unless this is simulation and then nothing's real. And again, that's for another video. Tim Jim says, in Milton Keynes, they have little bots delivering food. I've seen them, and you see them get stuck. And in China, I believe they have drones delivering food. So in the UK, you have Deliveroo or Uber Eats, where some kind worker will bring you your food on a moped from whichever of the fast food stores you want to get it from. In China, well, as Tim said, in Milton Keynes, they got little delivery bots that look a bit like Wall-E or Johnny Number 5. Have you seen Short Circuit? Johnny Number 5. More input. Need more input. And it's fascinating. That's another good film you could watch where he comes alive. Johnny 5 is alive. But in China, they have drone deliveries. And this is now, today, there are drone deliveries of food in China. Make of it what you will, but if you read the book, it will help to navigate all this madness. The Still Point says, thanks for the introduction, Lewis. The book is next in queue. It's been a weekend of Tolstoy for me before getting into your work during the week. A change in tone, but ultimately both on waking up. Fantastic. The Still Point. I look forward to hearing anyone who does enjoy the book. As I said, I'd love to discuss it with you, so reach out through email, and I'd also appreciate any Amazon reviews will be warmly received. Even the bad ones, I suppose, will help me to learn and grow, but 5-star ones are preferred. And Lee Thompson says, oh my God, was talking about this with one of my students last week. It will happen. And you could argue it's happening, Lee. It's already happening. So very scary. Lee Thompson also goes on to say, enjoy Turkey. Be careful if you get a taxi. Make sure they put the meter on. It's illegal not to, but they will chance it. Yeah, like I say, I'll keep that in mind, Lee. And we'll see what excursions me and the fam get up to. But I'll be happy with my book by the pool, playing with the kids when they want me to, and just chilling. Thanks, Melissa's Mind. You're very welcome. It's in the afternoon, Ajay. So, yes. It's in the afternoon, 4 o'clock, I think. So a nice time to fly, although we'll get to Turkey very late. Melissa's Mind says, okay, see you all later. And thank you, Melissa. I certainly plan to. And everyone, if you're interested in getting the book on digital, PDF or audio, or the physical copy from Amazon, all of the links are in the description. I'm so grateful for your time and your attention that you've shared with me, and that you, for being here, for sharing this time, this space. And as I said in the video earlier that I posted earlier today, when I get back, we will read Dostoevsky's Notes from Underground, Fritz Peters' Gurdjieff Remembered, and many more books. Moving forward, we have a final comment from Higher Influence, unless there's any more comments that come in, but Higher Influence says, talk about machines. If I order your book, it will be printed by Amazon just up the road from me. They print a single book after ordering. Amazing. And that's absolutely right, Higher Influence. It's incredible, the service that they give, and I believe that Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing will soon put mainstream or orthodox publishers out of business. And it allows people like myself to self-publish this book without any gateways, without any gatekeepers, without anyone saying, who are you? Who are you, So I'm happy about that, but also sad for the mainstream publishers. It's a difficult world that we live in, but this book will help us to navigate it. My friends, look after yourselves. I will see you in over a week's time, probably Wednesday or Thursday, a week Wednesday. There's a chance I'll be back streaming. I can't wait to be back with you all. But for now, as I said, thanks for your time, for your attention, for your support. It means a lot to me. And I'll see you when we get back to continue reading all of these amazing books available to us. So guys, have a great week. Look after yourselves. Be sure to go back, look at the library, see if there's anything interesting that you haven't listened to yet. Thanks everyone. I really appreciate it. Take care. And I'll see you soon. Bye guys.